Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. Whilst Formula E kicks off in Mexico this weekend, we also have the start of the Formula Regional Middle East Championship, kicking off with 3 races at Yas Marinas. And this series is important because some of these drivers might be stars of the future. Some might be working in your local kebab shop. It's worth paying attention nonetheless. So before the series gets underway, let's look at the drivers and teams listed, have a quick introduction to each, and only quick because there's like 30 drivers listed so far, and I don't know who'll be racing at every round, and who'll be popping in for a quick look. We will also try and put out some predictions as well. So make sure you subscribe and let's jump into the video. Our Ace GP. Martinius Stenshorn is of course the standout name here. The Norwegian was a star in the Formula Regional Europe Series in 2023. He put down a strong challenge to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. His 5 wins in that series propelled him to second in the championship and his first really successful year in motorsport. He has raced in this series before at the tail end of the 2023 season and was largely unimpressive, but has come a long way since then, and if he does the full thing, to me, he has to be a favourite. Joining him at our ace is Finnish driver Tuukka Topinen. He finished second in the United Arab Emirates Formula 4 series in 2023 and was half decent in both Italian F4 and the new Euro 4 series. Could get some decent results here. Zachary David has raced under a Maltese licence in the past, but is representing the Philippines here. He's usually behind Tarpanen, and that will be the case here. Jesse Carrasquedo Jr. has won a few F4 races here and there, but hasn't really done anything of note, failing to impress in Spanish F4 in 2023, and Japanese driver Kanato Lee is listed to do a part-time of this series. He has won races at Formula 4 level, most recently in the British series, and he's not all that impressive to be honest. Stenshorn and Tarpanen are both very good drivers, and I think our ace have a very good lineup this year. Mumbai Falcons. I think the Indian team have the strongest lineup all round in 2024, at least on paper. Ugo Ugachukwu is a driver who keeps appearing, and I feel like he has a lot of hype behind him. He was a disappointment in the F4 UAE series in 2023, losing out to James Wharton and Tuukka Tarpanen. He wasn't great at Macau, but he did win the Euro 4 Championship and has been competitive in every series he has raced in. James Wharton is his teammate here, and these two have been trading victories for the last couple of years. It'll be interesting to see how close to the front they can run again. Rafael Kamara is the most experienced driver in this team, and he is a nearly man, finishing second in UAE F4, third in Italian F4, third in ADAC F4, third in last year's Formula Regional Middle East, and 5th in Europe with 2 wins. His Formula Regional European campaign was a little disappointing. He just made too many mistakes, a lot of spins and a lot of crashes. If he can remain consistent, he could be a winner in this series. Arvid Lindblad is the final driver for Mumbai Falcons. Good driver and tends to win races, never been champion and tends to finish behind most of these drivers, but will scoop up points I'm sure. Mumbai Falcons won the team's championship in 2023 and I'm sure they will again in 2024. XL Motorsports. Only 2 drivers for XL Motorsports, and it's unlikely you'll see either anywhere near the top 10. Noah Lissel is an Australian who has taken a few Formula 4 wins in Britain but wasn't a championship competitor, and Yaroslav Vezalejo is a Ukrainian who made an unimpressive debut in French F4 series last year, scoring 6 points. Neither driver is overly accomplished, so anything they manage to do here will be an achievement. PHM Racing. Taylor Barnard returns for another shot at the Formula Regional Middle East after finishing second to Andrea Kimi Antonelli last year, another of the favourites this year, but I worry he may have peaked in 2023. But he is a really good driver and is not to be counted out. Tsanapol Infopruvasak is also back after a disappointing 2023. I remember him standing out in the UAE F4 series a couple of years ago, but he struggled in the Middle East last year and was average at best in Euro Cup 3. He'll be looking to do better in 2024, maybe taking a first win in the series and pushing for a top 10 overall. Brando Badoa is the son of former Ferrari Formula 1 driver Luca Badoa. If he's as good as his father, then he'll be doing well if he goes the right way. So far he's been pretty average in the various F4 series he's raced in, so he's about level with his dad. PHM Racing also have Ricky Liu of China. He's won races in the Chinese F4 series and has been invisible everywhere else. Any hopes PHM have rest on Taylor Barnard. Infopruvasak might get a few points finishes, but the other 2 are almost guaranteed to be backmarkers. MP Motorsport. Yet another bloody Fittipaldi. Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. is the youngest son of the Formula 1 champion of the same name and cousin to Pietro and Enzo. Emerson had this little sprog when he was 61 years old, which shows you what the stamina of a champion looks like. As for Junior, he's won races in the Danish F4 series but has struggled elsewhere and was really out of his depth in the Formula Regional European last year. Still an unknown quantity at this point because he is so young, but I imagine he'll be out of his depth here also. Bruno Del Pino is a Spaniard who has done very little so far. Nikhil Bora actually won a round of his series in 2023 and is probably the best driver in the MP lineup, but he has done little else of note, wins in India and a podium in Formula Regional Europe. He's someone who could get some shock results here and there. Valerio Rinicella has been decent in Formula 4, finishing 3rd overall in Spain last year, could be worth keeping an eye on, and Francesco Braschi is only doing a part-time visit to the series. He's done a few races here last year and it isn't really anything special. Strange mix of drivers for MP with Nikhil Bora probably the best of them, but I don't think anyone here is a world beater. Santalo Racing. The French team are entering the series for the first time and have 3 drivers on their books for this one. Pedro Claro is the 2022 F4 Brazil champion and a race winner in Spanish F4 in 2023. The 16-year-old is competing in Formula Regional for the first time. Matteo De Pelo finished 1 place above Claro in the Spanish F4 series and also won a race in the Winter Series, but has done very little racing. 2023 was his debut year. Theopile Nael is the standout hero. The Frenchman won the Spanish F4 series for Santalo Racing in 2023, and I think he has the makings of a major player in the future. Keep a note of this young driver, he's going places. Pinnacle Motorsport. Alexander Abkhazava used to be Latvian, but now is from Kazakhstan. I hate racing licenses, especially as he is from Georgia. He's rubbish anyway. In the low 20s in both Spain and the UAE F4 series last year. Mari Boyer, on the other hand, has experience in Formula 3 and finished runner-up in Spanish F4 back in 2020 and runner-up in the Euro Cup 3 Championship last year. He also finished 4th at Macau, so whilst Formula 3 was tough on the Spaniard, he clearly has some talent. Giovanni Mascio finished 30th overall in this series last year, so if he does better than that, it will be a triumph. And Finley Green is returning to racing after a few years off. This is just an opportunity to shake off the rust, I guess, but I don't know much about him. Weak set of drivers with Boyer the only real hope of scoring points. R&B Racing. 2 Chinese drivers for the Chinese team, Wang Zhongwei and Gao Yujia. Don't know anything about them and you'll probably never see them unless they crash or put their helmets on upside down or something. Evans GP. Our final 2 drivers for the Australian Evans team include John Bennett, who has spent the last couple of years in the GB3 series and has mostly been stuck in the midfield, and Costa Taparis, the Australian, also raced in GB3 in 2023 and finished behind his teammate, and so we'll be looking to reverse the status quo. Not much hope for either of these drivers. So they are all the drivers and teams taking part in the 2024 Formula Regional Middle East Championship. A lot of very good young talent on show in the Middle East this year. It's very hard to pick a winner. Ugo Ugachukwu is someone with a lot of hype who I feel hasn't really impressed all that much yet. Back with arch rivals James Walton and Tuka Tarpanen, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top this time round. Maury Boyer is a good driver, but I think it'll come down to Formula Regional Europe rivals Rafael Kamara and Martinius Stensorn. I'll go with Stensorn because I think Kamara just makes too many mistakes. I'll also go with Theophile Nail, impressing and maybe still being in the title fight at the end. Of course, all that depends whether or not these drivers are doing the full series. It really annoys me that these race series have so many drivers swapping halfway through. It's not the only series kicking off this weekend. The United Arab Emirates F4 kicks off as well, and that has a very large, interesting field. Quite a few female racers this year, with Dorian Pin being of particular interest, and Nikita Bedran being there is a bit strange, as he is way more experienced than anyone else in that field. For me, Keanu Al-Azari is of particular interest. He won the Grand Prix Support Trophy rounds at the end of 2023 and he seems like a really good driver, especially considering he's from the UAE, so he is the hometown boy. I'll be covering these series over the next few weeks as they develop, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching and have a good one.